Krishna Kristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Krishna Krishna Kristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Krishna Namaste Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Jai Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. I place the contribution of suffering and maintain the mercy of Krishna. God, make this aspect consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Enchantment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. Here with my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic flame emanates. From him external wisdom. But in the scripture sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the friend of the poor and the Lord, the master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three waters. We take shelter from those.
By great Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna devotees. Morning, good to see everybody. Welcome to our online Bhagavatam group. Thank you for tuning in today. Here in the temple room. Chant Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Guru Premanande. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraje nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtuki. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, we should first offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishis, the supermost human beings, unto the goddess of learning, Mother Saraswati, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes in Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed. The devotional service becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Shishi Purnitai ki jai, Jagat Baladev Subhadra ki jai, Shishi Madhashar Bihari ki jai. We're continuing our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam today. Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 48, chapter entitled Talks Between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura. Tate vayam loka sisrikshayadya Swayanushrishtas tribir atma bhisma Sarve viyukta swaviharatratram Nashaknumastat prati partavete Tate vayam lokam shishvikshayadya Tvayanushrishtas tribir atma bhisma Sarve viyukta swavihara tantram Nashaknumastat pratihartavete. Tate vayam lokam shishvikshayadya Tvayanusritas tribir atma bhisma Sarve viyukta swavihara tantram Nashaknumastat pratihartavete. Please chant.
Vayam loka shiksha shreyada. Sadastativir atma bhisma. Devyukta savihara tantram. Asta pratimata vete. Devayam loka sisrikshayadya.
Tate vayam loka shishikshayadya
Srishtas tribhiratma visma.
Tvayanushrishtas tribir atma bhisma
Vevayukta svavihara tantra.
Sarve viyukta swavihara tantram
Nashaknumastat pratihartavete.
Nashaknumastat pratihartavete.
Tatyevayam loka shikshatyayadya.
Tate vayam loka shikshayadya
Sarve viyukta svaviharatantram.
Deviyukta Smadhiharatantram
Mastat pratihartavete.
Shakmastat Pratihartavete
Tate vayam loka shrikasya yatya.
Tatevayam Loka Shishakshayadya
Vayam Krishtas Vivir Atmavisma.
Ayan Shrishtasha Siddhiratmavits
Devi Yukta Svadhyaya
Sarveviyukta Svaviharatantram
Saknamastat Pratihartavete.
Pratihartavete
Devayam loka shikrishya shakya.
Devayam Loka Shishikshayadya
Yan Christus Triviratmanisma. Sarve Vyakta Swaviharatantra.
Deviyakta Svaviharatantram
Sadhamastat Pratihartavete.
Shakmastat Pratihartavete
Devayam loka shishikshayadya.
Tatevayam Lokam Shishikshayadya
Shastri-bhiratma-bhishma.
Ayan Shrishtastrivihatmabhisma
Viviyukta svavihara-tantram.
Sarveviyukta Svaviharatantram
Sadpratihardavete.
Shaknumastat Pratihartavete. Okay, the synonyms. Tat, therefore. Te, your. Vayam, all of us. Loka,
Loka.
world.
Word.
Shikshaya, for the sake of creation. Adya,
Adya.
O original person. Tvaya, by you. Anusrishtaya,
Anushrishta.
being created one after another.
Being created one after
Tribi,
another.
by the three modes of nature.
By three modes of nature.
Atmavi, by one's own. Sma, in the past. Sarve, all. Viyukta, separated. Swavihara Tantram, the network of activities for one's own pleasure. Na, not. Shaknumaha, could do it. Tat, that. Pratihar Tave, to award. Te, unto you. Translation, the purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature. And for this reason, we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. Purport. The cosmic creation is working under the influence of the three modes of the external potency of the Lord. Different creatures are also under the same influence, and therefore they cannot act concertedly in satisfying the Lord. Because of this diverse activity, There cannot be any harmony in this material world. The best policy, therefore, is to act for the sake of the Lord, and that will bring about the desired harmony. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pastyatya Deshatani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Translation again. O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature. And for this reason, we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. This is, before we begin, I wanted to just mention real quickly, we want to offer our blessings to a new endeavor that's starting today. For the past almost 2 years now, we've been doing prasadam distribution every other week at the Kensington area of Philadelphia. It's a place in well need of some help, and devotees inspired to go out and distribute Krishna prasadam every other week. And they grew some momentum, and they wanted to increase that to every week. They're going to try some new locations. Today they're going to Germantown to try to distribute Krishna prasadam. So I know some of you are part of that effort. We wish you the best and pray that Krishna bestows his mercy upon you for your service, as well as the mercy that you're bestowing upon these fortunate souls receiving Krishna prasadam. It's cold out there. So it's really wonderful activity that you're doing. So Dr. Dan and his team, Hare Krishna. So this verse I thought was very interesting. A couple of things stood out, especially this word concertedly. You know, it roots from the word concert, which means that there's this, everything is in harmony and unison. If you go to a concert, everything is planned out in advance. Everything is functioning very smoothly. You know, they set up the music, the speakers, they adjust the sound. In an orchestra, the way they organize the members and the musicians, and they layer them in different, everything is done very in sync, and there's a beautiful sound as a result of it. Everybody has a role to play and a place to and they're all acting in the same according to the same beat, the same measure. They're all following the same plan, and thus there's this beauty that's going on. But in this material world, due to our desire to be independent, what we see is all these separate independent endeavors that go on. And because of that, what the demigods are saying here when they're praying to Krishna is that we don't see this. We're unable to act in unison. We're unable to act cooperatively. And therefore, the result of what we experience in this world is a lot of intersections of material desires and attachments of individuals. And what it is not a concert. It's just this disturbance of noise, of different people wanting to play according to their own beat. Some people, they drum out others, because they play harder. But it's just, nothing is in harmony. And we can see this manifest in so many ways. With the violence that goes on, the quest for power that's in the world, the politics, just the overall level of dissatisfaction, depression, mental illness. Everybody's searching for this sense of harmony, but it's not coming. And the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, tell us we have to look at ourselves to find that answer. And Krishna gives us that answer. And that is that we have to act according to Krishna's plan. When we engage material nature in the service of Krishna, we understand our position and we understand the position of material nature. We understand ourselves as servants. We're not the proprietors of material nature. That material nature exists, and we're actually in it. We're not of it, we're in it. We're of Krishna's nature, but we're in the material nature. This material nature, if it's used for the service of Krishna instead of the service for ourselves, we know our rightful place and we know material nature's rightful place. And we can become peaceful. There's this triangle. We learned this in our deity course, the Srinivasa Prabhu. He taught that you have at the top, you have Bhagavan, Krishna. And then down at the right-hand side of the corner, you have the Jiva, who is us. And then on the left-hand side, you have Prakriti, or material nature. And it's what we know is that the relationship between Jiva and Bhagavan, that's universal. Everybody says, yes, I worship God. We know God. I have a relationship with God. But that relationship that the Jiva has with material nature is really the indication of how much we truly understand our relationship with God, our position with God. Because if we use material nature for our own satisfaction, we don't understand that material nature is really connected with God and is meant to serve Him. However, if we use that material nature to serve God, that's an indication of how deep and enriched that relationship actually is. So I started thinking about ways in which we see, visibly in our lives, how when actions are not in harmony with one another, how it just stops you. It makes you think. It makes you say, okay, this is different. In kirtan, now sometimes we dance in kirtan, and the ladies do this much better than the men do, but actually dance in harmony. Sometimes like a circle forms, and people they move out and then they move into the circle and they move around, and when it's done nicely, it's actually really beautiful. It's a work of art, and we're offering it for the pleasure of Radha Bihari. We're dancing very beautifully. But if everybody's moving out at the same time and then moving in at the same time and they're rotating at the same time, it's actually very beautiful. But you always get a couple people who either offbeat or whatever it may be. As you're moving out, they're moving in. And then you grab them and you say, oh, hold my hand, we'll go in motion. And then you go, and then you release hands, and then they go out and they come in. Or you're going forward and then going back. And then as you're going forward, they're going back. And as everybody else is going backward, they're coming forward. You must have seen this. I mean, it is. And, sometimes you're in lines where you kind of move forward and back together. And then there's, that one or two people that they're jumping in and they're coming back. And we see, this is not the end of the world. These are all things easily to overcome. It just goes to show how when things are in harmony, there's the beauty of it. And that if there's not, it draws attention. In kirtan, we have a person who's not playing one beat. And right away, it's noticeable. And it may not be to their fault. It's not that I'm going to be a disturbance and just be offbeat. It may not be their fault. You lose touch with it. But it throws off the whole concert, the offering, because it's not in harmony with the rest of the musicians. Sometimes singing, somebody's tone deaf, right? And no one else can follow because it's because of the harmony is out of sync. We chant verses sometimes, and there's a meter that's chanted for the verse, and sometimes there's multiple meters that can be chanted for that verse. And we'll go around, and everybody will chant, and then there'll be like one person who'll choose a different meter to chant that verse in. Now, it could be that's the only meter they know how to do and they feel comfortable with, and that's understandable. That's not so much the point. The point is that when you see these things that are out of order, when they're not in harmony, when they're not in concert, they distract, and they bring about attention. In this, in Krishna's pastimes, in the Rasa Leela, we see that when the gopis came and they met Krishna on the Sharad Purnima, and they were all with Krishna, and they began dancing, and everything was in harmony. And then all of a sudden, there was a desire. They started feeling a tinge of pride, and that tinge of pride threw off the harmony. It was a very subtle, we were talking more gross bodily movements, but that subtleness threw off the harmony of that dance, and everything. Krishna ended it. Krishna stopped it, and Krishna went away. In this world, this verse that was mentioned, that this viyuktaha, which means separated. And what are we separated by? Swavihara tantram, the network of activities for one's own pleasure. And that is the root cause of this disunion that we experience in this world, is our individual endeavor for our own attention, for our own purposes. That we're thinking of ourselves and not necessarily thinking about the whole. Srila Prabhupada coined this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 529, the peace formula. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suradam sarva bhutanam yatam mam shantam richati. That one who knows Krishna as the beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all the planets and the demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities, can find peace from the pangs of this world. In other words, when we understand that whatever activities we do, Krishna is really meant to be the enjoyer of those activities. We're supposed to offer the fruits of those activities to Krishna. And who is Krishna? He's the supreme controller of all the planets and all the demigods. What to speak of us? But he's also the benefactor and the well-wisher of all living entities. He means well for us. The arrangements he makes are meant, for our betterment. And when we can understand that, we can find peace. When we try to fight that, when we try to become the center of it, when the activities that we perform are meant for our pleasure, when we don't see Krishna as the Supreme Lord, but we try to see ourselves as lording over material nature, the gods of our own individual projects, everything starts to fall apart. And we try this over and over again. The whole world is trying this. This whole material world is an experiment in our own independence away from Krishna. So Krishna's playing his flute. And to be in harmony with Krishna, we have to dance according to the melody he's playing on his flute. If we are ahead of Krishna or we're behind Krishna, we'll find ourselves in a place that's very unnatural. And one of the ways this manifests is patience. Patience is the ability to wait. And what are we waiting on? We're waiting on Krishna's plan. We're waiting on Krishna's to dance according to the pace of Krishna's flute. When we dance according to the pace of our lives, we'll be out of sync. We want to be in line with what Krishna is playing. We want to dance with Krishna. So, how does that equate to patience? Oftentimes, we're passionate, or sometimes we're in ignorance. Sometimes we're way ahead. We're trying to force situations to happen that aren't meant to happen right now. Or sometimes we just get caught in laziness, depression, uncertainty, where we just fall behind where Krishna wants something to take place. And we're just lagging behind. So how do we know? How do we know where we are? How do we know the pace of Krishna's flute? Of course, we want to know. A lot of times we're not trying to be out of step with God. But we're overcome by the three modes of material nature: passion, ignorance, goodness, and force us to act in certain ways that are for our own self-interest. So one way we know whether we're in line with Krishna's melody that he's playing is that we find satisfaction in the activities that we do. Satisfaction in the self. In the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, text 54 to 59, when Arjuna asks Krishna, what are the qualities of a person who has transcended these modes of material nature? How does he act? How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? Yeah. And Krishna talks about, one of the qualities is satisfaction. That you find satisfaction in the self. You're not hankering, you're not lamenting. You feel peaceful. The world may be spinning around, going around, but you're at peace because you're connected with Krishna. He also defines this in the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the end of the three modes of material nature, of how one transcends these modes. What does it look like? I'll read that here. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, or delusion, when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. Hankering, lamenting. Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Bihari ki jai. Unwavering and undisturbed through the reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes are acting, we're situated in the self, and they regard happiness and distress alike. They look upon a lump of earth, stone, a piece of gold with an equal eye, equal toward desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who is renounced in all activities, material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Patience is a virtue. Patience is also one of the qualities of one developing favorable devotional service as defined by Srila Rupa Goswami in the Upadeshamrita Nectar of Instruction. We need this patience, which means that we're in alignment with Krishna's plan, that we're dancing according to Krishna's flute. A good way to remember this is just to remember Krishna's flute. When we sit back and we think, what does Krishna want? Let me just sit for a second and think of this analogy of dancing in concert with Krishna. What would it look like? What would it feel like? And that takes us out of our passion or our ignorance that we're in and helps align us. That may or may not be good enough for us. That's why it's important also to have spiritual authorities around us. The Guru, Diksha, and Shiksha, mentors who are advanced in Krishna consciousness, who are in alignment with Krishna's melody, who are moving according to Krishna's pace. And when you see it, you see a sense of peace. You don't see a disturbance. Even among difficult situations, they're calm because they know ultimately if things are not in place now, they will be. I just have to remain patient and connect with Krishna. So being in connection with such souls is also required in order to find this concert that is there. Srila Prabhupada ends this purport by saying, there's a short purport, but very, very wonderful. The best policy, therefore, is to act for the sake of the Lord. That will bring about the desired harmony. We know this philosophically. When we put it into practice in our lives, we can see the science of Krishna consciousness manifest. When we don't apply it to our lives, we see how it doesn't work. Today is also the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Earlier I said it was disappearance day. It's the appearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. I wanted to speak a few words about this great acharya in our line. There were 6 Goswamis. They were all prominent, not all of them were direct disciples. Jiva Goswami wasn't, but Gopal, there was Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami. They were the 6 saints of Vrindavan and followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was born in 1503, and he was from South India. He was the son of Venkata Bhatta, and he was the nephew of Prabodhananda Saraswati. So these were great devotees during Lord Chaitanya's time. When Lord Chaitanya went traveling into South India, this was part of his tour that he went on. He went to South India, he visited the Sri Rangam temple, where the worship of Lakshmi and Narayan was done very lavishly. They're from the Ramanuja Sampradaya, which is a bona fide Sampradaya. And there, Lord Chaitanya met with Venkata Bhatta, as well as his brothers, and he brought along with him his 7-year-old son. This was in 1510. And that son was Gopal Bhatta. So there was Venkata Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta. And Lord Chaitanya stayed there for the month of Chaturmasya. And he would visit on a regular basis, take lunch at the house of Venkata Bhatta, and give association, teaching is kirtan, in which Gopal Bhatta was able to, take full advantage of it and fall into ecstasy, and fell in love with Lord Chaitanya. There's a famous dialogue between Venkata Bhatta and Lord Chaitanya with regards to which is higher, the worship of Lakshmi Narayan or the worship of Radha and Krishna. And ultimately, Lord Chaitanya in this dialogue, explains that Lakshmi couldn't enter into the rasa dance, even though she was pure. Her worship was that of Aishvarya, all in reverence. And that is the worship that we worship Lord Narayan with. So that was her nature, and there's certainly nothing, impure, bad about that. But the conjugal loving affairs that the gopis have for Krishna, as manifested in Vrindavan, they don't see Krishna with awe and reverence, in majesty. They worship him as a cowherd boy. And because she was not following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan, she couldn't take on that mood. And thus, she was not permitted to enter into the rasa lila. It would have been it's a rasa basa, a mixture of the rasas. They just don't mix together. They're incompatible. Of course, Krishna is Rasaraj. He is the king of all rasas. They all manifest. He interacts with his devotees according to the love that they have for him in the different ways. So this famous dialogue where Lord Chaitanya established how the worship of Radha and Krishna is the highest of all. So Gopal Bhatta later traveled to Vrindavan, and a couple significant things took place. When he was there, he took shelter of Rupa Sanatana Goswami in a dream. Rupa Goswami had that the Srila Govinda Dev deity requested that Gopal Bhatta become the Pujari. So that's a pretty significant dream. Rupa Goswami has a dream that you're to be the Pujari of a deity. He established in 1942 the worship of the deity Radha Raman, which is one of the 7 prominent temples in India. In Vrindavan. Radha Raman. If you've been to Vrindavan and seen that very beautiful deity, it actually came from a Damodar. It's a Damodar Shila, and very striking, very unique. The worship there is very, very beautiful. The spirit of love that even now today that the Radha Raman deity is worshipped with is quite exquisite. He edited the work of Srila Sanatana Goswami, the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And when Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj, this is a very important point that I wanted to mention about him, is that when Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj was getting ready to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he went to seek the blessings of the 6 Goswamis. And they offered blessings to him, of course, and they also received specific details about the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Because this is a biography, so he's basically writing a biography, so he has to interview and ask the different devotees what happened. So the accounts of South India, this whole account of the pastime with Venkata Bhatta and the Lord's travel at the coming through the Sri Rangam temple. This was all chronicled and spoken by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But he had one condition. He says, I'm only going to tell you this if you agree not to mention my name in your works. He wanted no credit. He didn't want his name mentioned. And he made Krishna Das Kaviraj, agree to this. And this is a very valuable lesson for us. When you think about the times when we feel overlooked or we may not get the credit that we deserve, we can reflect back upon the humility of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Why did he do this? He wanted to take the attention off of himself and give it to the Lord, even though it would certainly not have overshadowed the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But this was his condition. You want these pastimes? My request is that you just don't mention my name. And a lot of times we're very quick to want to be recognized, to get the credit. And we can take inspiration from our acharyas of how they interact, what their behavior was. And these were the individuals. They were in concert with Krishna's flute. They were dancing to Krishna's song. They were in step. And this was their behavior. But sometimes if we look and say, well, why am I out of step? We've got to look at ourselves. We've got to see how the network of material desires is driving us away from Krishna. It's taking us off beat, has knocked us off rhythm. But we can get back in rhythm. Find inspiration from these examples of such great souls. They're present among us today, and we can take inspiration from those that have come before us. I'll stop there. And thank you for your attention. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami Ki Jai. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I have a question. So they mentioned wonderful point about how to take inspiration from other souls, if to be in harmony with the Krishna's plan and the Krishna. So do you have any other practical tips what we can do to get in line with Krishna's harmonious arrangement?
Yeah. So the one is just to when things seem to be when you need to make a decision or things seem to be out of sort in our lives, just to really pause and ask ourselves, am I in line with Krishna? Am I disturbed? Am I agitated? And if you are, that's a sign that you're not in alignment with Krishna's plan. And then you have to ask yourselves, well, maybe Krishna's plan is not unfolding as fast as I wish it would. Things are not happening the way they're supposed to. So maybe I need to exhibit patience. I need to be able to practice waiting. At the same time, be eager and focused in my service and my actions and my activities. So patience doesn't mean laziness, because Rupa Goswami says one has to endeavor with confidence, but also be patient. We have to both be acting with eagerness, but the patience comes from the detachment. Okay, the result isn't coming. This didn't turn out the way it's wanted to. Obviously, Krishna has a different plan. And how can we be assured that Krishna has a different plan? Because Krishna tells us that he's our well-wishing friend. He's thinking about us. He's trying to clear the path for us. He's trying to make Krishna consciousness grow within us and within the world. But he's not trying to stop it. So then we have to say, okay, Krishna, you're my well-wishing friend. Something's not happening. Obviously, you must have a different plan. Let me take a step back. Let me try to chant some good japa. Let me go into meditation through kirtan and really try to connect and absorb myself in Krishna. Let me hear from the scriptures. This is the greatness of hearing every day from Srimad Bhagavatam. Hearing, directly from here and then hearing the devotees elaborate on realizations. Hearing from Srila Prabhupada. Looking at the life of Srila Prabhupada and the patience that he exhibited. Waiting for Krishna's plan to unfold. But yet still endeavoring and working hard for Krishna every single moment of the day. So we have to think like this. I like the analogy of dancing with Krishna because for me that's very illustrative. Because I know what it's like when you're out of sync when dancing, or out of sync when singing, and what that feels like. And when you extrapolate that into our lives, when we find disorder in our lives, it just means that we're out of sync with Krishna's plan. Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, glorifications of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami? Okay.
This Radharaman deities was self-manifested. Actually, he went to the Gandaki river in Nepal and got this saligram. And he didn't want to take it. And he put it back and they keep on, coming back to him. This several times happened. Then he took it and started worshiping. Then one day he was meditating. Gopal Bhatta was meditating and saying, I wish I can dress Krishna, I can put clothes on him or something. Then just by his purity, by his devotion, Krishna just self-manifested. Into this deity form of Krishna, Radharaman. So it's a very Srila Prabhupada they also then follow the Gaudiya Sampradaya, they follow the, Gopal Bhatta. So he's very famous and the devotees, the Goswami, that in Chaudas is really like ISKCON, it's really, ISKCON devotees all the time goes to Radharaman temple and Prasadam and they serve them very nicely there. Remember when we were in Vrindavan, a devotee arranged and we went. And in the kitchen, there's a fire that never extinguishes it. In the kitchen of Radharaman, it is like 24 hours on. I don't know how, but I heard. And they always serve very nice prasadam there. So if you know the pujaris or somebody is there, they will invite you and can go and take prasadam. So when you were in Vrindavan in 2017, there's the opportunity to go there and take the prasadam at the Raman temple. Very beautiful deities.
Yeah.
They really worship the deities so opulently. Like you can see the pictures on Facebook sometimes. Very beautiful deities.
Krishna's form is very beautiful.
Yeah.
Tribhanga, yeah. Threefold bending form.
They are deities who never left Vrindavan. Like after all the other Goswamis, deities, so many of them went to Jaipur when the Mughals attacked. But Radharaman never left Vrindavan.
Never left Vrindavan, yeah.
They're always there.
Yeah. Radha Govinda, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Gopinath, all went to Jaipur. Jaipur.
For protection.
Yeah. Radha Raman always there.
Haribol Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Kaivalya Prabhu.
So the Gopal Bhatta Goswami's deities are Radha Ramanji and they are so beautiful. And as you said, they self-appeared, and as Mataji said, that they never left Vrindavan, because Radha Gopinath and Govindaji and Madan Mohan, they all went out of the Vrindavan, but he stayed there. And also because he manifested from Shila, and we can still see the marks on the Shila, on the back of the Gopinath. Sometime if you give some money to Pujari, I request him, he will show in the back of the Gopinath, we can see the marks of the Govardhan Shila there. And the beauty that Prabhupada also said many times, they kept a very high standard of deity worship in the temple. So Prabhupada said in one of his class that if we have to learn a deity worship, we should go to Radha Ramanji Mandir and ask a Pujari ji, and he will tell you what standard should be for deity worship. They really kept very strict. And it's of all generation of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, right from him, He's all descendant or still serving the Radha Ramanji. And the beauty is described as, it has beauty of all three deities, his Radha Ramanji's feet are exactly like Radha Madan Mohan's feet, and his abdomen and other things are like Govindaji, and his face is like Gopinathji. So it has all three in one. That's why I heard. So it's really great to, whenever we are in Vrindavan, we must visit Radha Ramanji and have the darshan. Very nice. They are self-manifested deities, They came himself just for Gopal Bhatta Goswami, So we can see, what is it's a great potency there. So we all pray that we should get the blessings of Radha Ramanji and Gopal Bhatta Goswami on this special day. And today is also Ramchandra Khan's appearance day also with that. He was his colleague's son, disciple. And they both were working together. Gopinath, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and they were preaching together, and they were very friendly in relation, not like Guru and disciple, not like that, they had really cordial relations and they worked together. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Kaivalya Prabhu, for sharing that. All those details about Radha Raman deity. Very nice. Thank you for adding all that nectar. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll conclude right now. Pancharat Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gopal Bhatta Goswami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. There is a Maha cleanup today starting around 9:30. We'll go to 1 o'clock around lunchtime. And there's also the Prasadam distribution. First time we're doing it in Germantown. So for those that are going out, all glories to your service. Hare Krishna.